Allah is our word for God, and Muhammad was the prophet who received the Holy Quran from one of the angels. This is like really general information, and it has like seven like sort of tenets, you know, like is it the zakat?
I wouldn't know a whole pile, because in Ireland there wouldn't be a whole community of Muslims, so I have never experienced or even spoken to a Muslim. I don't even know if I would have seen a Muslim.
The word jihad, let's see, I feel like it's some sort of call to action, maybe a pilgrimage or something, but that could be way off. I don't want to embarrass myself.
My understanding of Islam, it's not a whole lot, but is that it's a religion that's based on the 5 pillars, the things that they need to do in order to get to heaven.
I guess I would just say it's a religion that tons of people follow, and that it has to do with, I guess it's like started in a country like India, or no, I guess like countries far away.
Most of what I know about Islam, I got from reading a fascinating book called 3 Cups of Tea.
I wouldn't know a whole pile. It's something I would like to know more about, but I don't actually know anything about it.
Islam is based on 5 pillars. The first pillar in Islam is a declaration of faith. The declaration of faith is comprised of some core beliefs every Muslim must believe in. The first concept in the declaration of faith is the concept of the oneness of God and the belief that the Prophet Muhammad is the last messenger. This is called Shahada, or the testimony of faith. Islam is practiced around the globe by almost 2 billion people. The word Islam means submission. Submission to the will of God. The main concept in Islam is the concept of Tawheed, the belief in the one and only true God. Every Muslim must believe that there is only one God, the one Creator, God who has created everything, the earth we live in, the trees that give off oxygen, everything that lives, everything on earth and the heavens is created by God.
In Islam, we believe in one God. We don't believe that God had any son. We don't believe that he has any partners, whereas other religions, maybe they have more than one God they worship. It's not a monotheistic religion.
Yeah, this is the basic concept of all religions, to worship only one God. Yeah, from Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, until Muhammad. You know, they have one teaching, one God and one teaching, and that's to say in Arabic, La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. Yeah?
To come closer to understanding Tawheed, we have the 99 names of Allah, the Asma al-Husna, and every one of those names, in some way, shape, or form, is reflected in what Allah has presented to us in creation and in existence. So when we look at a mother caring for a child, nurturing a child, we can understand the name Rahman because that is a manifestation or an example of Rahma, which comes from Ar-Rahman, the merciful, the compassionate. When we see a sumptuous plate of food, that reminds us of rizq, or provision, and it calls to mind the name Ar-Razak, which is the provider. And so on and so forth. There are 99 of these names, and anything that we look at in creation reflects one of those names in some way, shape, or form.
They are 5 in numbers, and the pillars of Islam can be reckoned to the columns of a house. It upholds the structure, it maintains its integrity. The predominant pillar of Islam is the first pillar, Iman, belief in Allah. Without Iman, it is, as they have said, it's like a donkey carrying books. What does that refer to? One who has the knowledge of faith and does not act upon it is like a donkey carrying books. He is not going to get the benefit from it.
The concept of Tawheed, or the oneness of God, has been one of the main reasons for which people from all aspects of life have decided to convert to Islam.
One of the foremost things that impacted me and made me become a Muslim. See, I took Shahada, became a Muslim in 1969, okay? And that was an era, that was like the highlight of the era of the civil rights movement. You know, where black people, African American people, were struggling in this country, you know, for their own rights, for their freedom, and the right to vote, you know, the right to, you know, equality, okay? People like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and many others was out in the forefront of that struggle, okay? And I mention them too because, you know, most people know them, but there were many other great leaders, you know, from the indigenous or African American community who were struggling to, again, bring dignity to the African American people and to gain their rights, you know, as a minority. And so it was during that climate, okay? A lot of different groups evolved, trying to lead this struggle on behalf of the downtrodden African American people in the minorities in this country. And so as a young person, as a young man, I'm searching for a sense of direction. You know, growing up in a society that's just full of all kinds of racism in every level, you know, in every institution almost in the country. And one of those institutions that is was very racist, all right, institutionalized racism, was the church. All of the images of God, all the images of angels, even prophets, and everything good was white. Even the image of God is white, okay? God is white. So in my search, and so what evolved in the climate was different African American groups making God black, making Jesus black. You see, the Nation of Islam, led by Elijah Muhammad. You see, and in which Malcolm X was a part of that, and he eventually broke from that and became a Sunni Muslim. He embraced the true Islam. Okay, so all of that was going on, and me as a young man searching for Islam, and I wanting to identify, you know, with this. With this trend of, you know, honor and dignity as a person, being an African American. So I'm searching. So let me get to it. I met a Muslim at that time. It was in 1969. Yeah, and he called himself a Sunni Muslim. All I knew was Nation of Islam. Islam is black, see? Counter to white. So as a young, I'm still searching now. So I said, he said, I'm a Sunni Muslim. I said, what is a Sunni Muslim? All right. But before I asked that, I wanted to know what a Sunni Muslim was. But before I got to that point, the first thing I asked him, what color is God? He said, he was shocked. He said, God ain't got no color. You see? You know, God is not a man. So he gave me a lesson in Tawheed. You see, I didn't know anything about that. So he talked about Allah, you know, being unseen, that no one, Allah is not a man. Allah is almighty. Allah is not a male. Allah is not a female. He's not black. He's not white. You know, Allah is exalted. Allah is most gracious, most merciful. He started talking about the Islamic concept of Tawheed and Allah's attributes and Allah's characteristics. And, that did something to me. I never heard nothing like that before. You see, clarify this shit. Like, well, what color was Adam? See? Well, what color? I was in this color thing. Okay? He said, God knows best what color he was. He could have been black. He could have been white. He could have been brown. And then he gave me the verse that I gave you earlier. You know? Surely we created you from a single pair, a male and a female, and made you into many nations and tribes. See? Not that you may hate each other and despise each other. You see what I'm saying? That you may get to know each other. And the most honorable you in the sight of God is he who is most righteous, he who is most obedient to God. That blew my mind. That's Allah. So it was the Tawheed, you know, real monotheism and the idea of the Islamic universal brotherhood. You see, at that point, I became Muslim. That was it. I was through with the black thing, the white thing. That just went right out the window. You know, because the brother gave me those verses from Quran, you know, and that was Allah's word, you see, on the issue of Tawheed.